Namaste everyone, welcome back to my channel. Here I am Anjali and we are talking about the transactions in MongoDB. This part is the second part of the series of the transactions in MongoDB. In the first part we have already done that how we can implement how the transactions has been implemented in MongoDB and what are transactions. If you want to know about the some theoretical knowledge of transactions, what are ACID transactions, how it has like how it has been implemented in MongoDB, you can go and watch the first part. So in this part, this is the mainly implementation part of it. We are working on Java. So today we will be implementing the transactions in Java using the Spring Boot MongoDB. So that is not we are not considering Spring Boot or Spring MVC, whatever you are using. You are using Mongo client or Mongo template. So okay, there is a catch for the Mongo template we will talk about in the next few parts. But yes, if you are using the Mongo clients, you can implement this in a very easy manner, or however that can be implemented in Mongo template, but there are some twist and tweak where how you can implement in Mongo template. So here we are creating a Mongo client, and using Mongo client we will be implementing the transactions. So what are transactions? I'll say in the in two lines. So let's say you have a two account withdrawing some money from your bank and transferring it to the account B. Let's say you have account A and account B, you are transferring the amount from A to B. So in this transaction what you are doing is you have to add the transacted value in the account B. Side by side you have to subtract the transacted value from the account A. If any of the transaction got fail, we can't maintain the same thing in the account. So we want the all the transaction in a synchronously manner, and we don't want to make the changes in any one account until unless whole transaction will not occur. So this here we in that case we can use the transactions. So transactions are already there in SQL. MySQL already we have implemented, right? So in the MongoDB also from 4.0 version transactions has been introduced. So how you can implement in Java? Let's get started. So in Java, so this is the I am just using the main function. Okay, in the main function you have to create the Mongo client using your URI or whatever the format you have created the Mongo clients. Now there are three steps for creating a transaction. First, you have to create a session. Okay, so you have to create a session. Second, you have to create a transaction body where you will define what are the transactions you are going to perform in this session. And third is you have to start the transaction. And yes, this is the fourth thing, that after completing the transaction you have to close the session. Okay, so these are the main parts of creating a or starting a transaction in MongoDB using Java. So let's start one by one. Firstly, we will create a session. So session will be creating by the client session object. So you can see there are two client session, but we have to use the com.mongodb.client. This is the session that we want to use. Okay, and in the same way you have to create a client session. After creating a session, now we want to create the transaction body. So this is the transaction body that we want to create, and in this transaction body we will define what are the transactions we want to perform. So if you will see my localhost MongoDB, here are two collection. Let's say I have a review and product collection. In review I have one document, and in products I have two documents right now. Let's firstly create a transaction and start it, and what we will see if we are able to insert the document. Then after this if you want to test if the transactions are working or not, we will manually throw in an error or exception, so that our transaction will get abort and no action should be performed in any of the collections. So let's now create a transaction body. So this is how we have created the transaction body. If you will see here the transaction body, we are just getting the two collection that we have, and I am just simply inserting the collection. So while performing this collection you have to this is very important that you have to provide the client session in the object. So this client session will make them know कि okay, we have to uh, perform these transaction in the session only. We don't have to perform it right now. Once the session will get started or transaction will get started, then only uh, this execution will get started. Now the third part is starting the session and or starting the transaction, and we have to start it in a try and catch block, and yes, in a finally block we have to close the session. So how you will do it? This is how we are client session dot with transaction body. This will start the transaction, and if error occur, it will go in the cache, and in the final section we are just closing the client session. So let's run this, and if we let's see if we are able to insert any of the documents. So let's see, here you can see there are two documents, and here we have one document. Let's come here and run this. And then after this, now the transactions are done. Let's see if we have inserted the document here. Now two documents came, and here we have three documents. Now let's manually throw an error, and if we are throwing an error in the second command, then the first command also should not be like inserted, okay, as this is the insert one that is running in first, and this is the second command. So here we are just throwing an error. Let's see we are able to insert both of the documents, or any one document is getting inserted, or it is performing the transactions or not. If it is performing the transaction, then none of the documents should be inserted. So that execution is completed. Now again let's see, none of the document has been inserted. That means our transactions are working. So this is how you can perform the sessions and transactions. So there are some constraints in it. We will talk about it in next few parts, and we will talk about it like how we can implement it in the Mongo template if you are using the Mongo template in your Spring Boot MongoDB applications. So till then, just keep learning, keep working. Have a nice day.